2-week break. Is it helpful at this time? And you know, I know you guys are on. You hit a bad patch, so was it helpful just to get away from the games, or do you want to get out there and end this streak? And the 2 weeks was not welcome.
I'd say a little bit of both sides. I'd say first and foremost, I always just want to play games on the weekend. So having a weekend without a game, it kind of sucks. But on the other side, I think we had a really good 2 weeks of training. I think training was really competitive. We had really small numbers, so we were able just to play a lot of small-sided games and just work on reactions and just getting after it really and being more competitive, which is something that I think we can always improve upon. So that part's good. On the other hand, we're missing a lot of guys who are key players to our team who some got back today, only a few will get back tomorrow, and then we got to get ready for Saturday. So I think that poses a bit of a challenge for the coaching staff, trying to find the right lineup for the game this weekend and trying to get those guys who were away on international duty with a lot of games in a short period of time and a lot of travel to get them back and get them physically ready for the game this weekend. But yeah, good and bad. But overall, I think a really good last week and good this week training.
You got won 7 of your first 10 games, and then you hit this patch. Were you as good as you appeared to be early in the season, and are you as bad as you appear now? I mean, is this just sort of a cyclical thing? How would you assess your team?
I think that was a good way of describing it. I think in the beginning we won a lot of games, a lot of close games where I think we just battled things out and we weren't maybe playing our best, but we got some good results. And we also knew even in those moments that those results would go a long way towards the end of the season. And then now lately, I think we've actually played some very good games in our last 3 games and haven't gotten any results. So those things kind of balance out over the course of a season. But overall, I'm not worried about our team. I know that's probably weird to hear, considering we haven't won a game, I think, in our last 9. But I'm not worried. I think that we're going to start clicking here soon, and that will be fine as the playoffs approach. Hopefully we can go on a run.
Thanks for your time. How would Ted Lasso solve this problem?
Who knows? We'll see.
We'll go with Nikki K next. Nikki, go ahead.
Thanks, Sasha. I'm sure over the course of 9 winless games, the conversations can feel a little redundant, but having this 2 weeks of breathing space, do you guys talk about must-win scenarios, or how do you kind of address that? Because it's one thing to talk about a sense of urgency, and it's another to play with it.
Yeah, I think we've done our talking in the last, not during these last 2 weeks, but in the weeks leading up to that those games were must-win, and unfortunately we weren't able to get the results, but the couple of games that happened over the weekend, the results went in our favor, so that's always positive. And then now, once we get our entire team back tomorrow, I think we'll be able to have just a quick discussion about the importance of these next 4 games coming up that are all really tight, and then the last 2. So we know that we are trending downwards in the standings, and that we have to flip this thing. But like I said, I'm not worried about our team. I think we're going to be fine.
And we just heard from Greg about your guys' kind of evolving relationship over the course of the season, and he says that he could see you in a coaching role someday in the future. I know that's obviously not the present, but what have you learned from yourself throughout the course of this season and your veteran capacity? Also, I know you're very active with your kids in the game as well, so have you kind of learned something about yourself and in your perspective and how you're approaching this?
It's a good question. I don't know, or maybe know how to explain, I guess, what I've learned over the course of this season, but more over the course of my career. I still only think of myself as a player, although I think I can see the game through, Greg and the coaching staff's eyes. And so for me, it's just trying to find the right balance of, I want to start every game, but I know I also have only started 12 games this season, and that can be frustrating at different times. But for me, the most important thing I think is being a good teammate and being a good leader, and that's being there to support my teammates, being the guy that is relied on, that every training that I show up, I give 100%, to be an example for all the other guys who may be going through a situation like mine. We have a lot of good players on our team, and I think we have a lot of guys that are vying for starting spots week in and week out. And we only have 11 guys who can start every game. So I know we have disappointed players sometimes, but I think they also have to realize, and I try to be that example, that when I come into the game for 5 minutes or when I come into the game for 10 minutes, I feel like I can really make a difference in the game and that I come in with a really positive attitude. So I think that part for me, just that being my role this year, trying not to be frustrated by lack of playing sometimes, also just being able to talk to Greg about a lot of different things about the team, about players, and kind of just, almost acting like an assistant coach in the locker room while also challenging myself to play and be as impactful as I can be on the field.
Thanks, Sasha. See you on Saturday.
We'll go with Damon Calhoun. Damon, go ahead.
Hey, Sasha, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Just wanted to, going through your career, have you had a season that's sort of gone the way this one has? And you guys started out, like you said, you started out strong, and now you've hit this patch here. Has there been a season like that in your career, and how did you guys sort of get through that?
The first thing that comes to mind is I'm trying to remember the correct year. I think it was probably the 2013-14 season at Anderlecht. And we had been good for the first half of the season, and then during the second half of the season after the winter break, we had a really poor run of form away from home. And we did not win a lot of games away from home. And in Belgium, there's a playoff system there where you play 10 games at the end of the season. The top 6 make the playoffs, and you play everybody once home and away. And after our first game of the playoffs, we lost away to Standard Liège, and our coach was fired. So the assistant coach took over with 9 games left. And on the cover of the newspaper that day after we lost, it said, "Anderlecht will not be champions this season." And I remember I took out the front page of the newspaper and I hung it up in my locker because I thought, I believe we still have a chance, and I hope that everybody else in the locker room sees this every day to know that we still have a chance. And in those last 9 games, I think we won 8 and drew 1 and ended up winning the title on the final day. So that was something where it was like, it would have been easy for everyone to buckle, and it would have been easy for us to say, okay, this is like, it's over this season. Maybe we'll finish second, maybe we'll finish third, and that'll be that. But I think I give a lot of credit to the coach for staying and believing in the team, and then for the players and believing in ourselves and keep pushing through. So I feel that right now. Like I said, I'm not worried about our team. I've been through this before, and it takes a good run of form. It takes one big game. It takes one big play to change the outcome and change the feeling within the team. So that's where I feel like we could be at right now.
All right, thank you.
We'll go with Josh Gueston. Josh, go ahead.
Hey, Sasha, thanks for taking the time. You talked about away form, with Anderlecht and sort of looking at that. I wonder about home form for the Galaxy. You guys haven't won a home game since early August, and you're going to get 3 chances at that in the next 6 games, obviously 3 away games as well. But there seems to be some quote-unquote winnable games in those next 3 at home for sure. How important is home form to getting out of this funk you guys are in?
Yeah, it's really important. Obviously, we'd love to win all these last 6 games and get ourselves a home game in the playoffs too, because I just think that coming to play here is a difficult place to play. The field is big. The best Galaxy teams in the past were the teams that when they played here, I think every other team came into this stadium thinking in the back of their head, we probably aren't going to win today. And that was a goal we set ourselves at the beginning of the season, was being a team that when we played at home, that no one came in here and beat us. And when teams come and start to beat you at home, then other teams start to believe that they can. So we need to stomp that out like right away. We need these last 3 games to, I'd love to get 9 points from these last 3 home games of the season and really give us that momentum going into the playoffs, that if we end up having a game here, that we know we're going to win it.